On today's episode, we have Week 7 waiver wire with FAAB bids, our top priority waiver wire targets. Sunday left more fantasy stars sidelined. Week 5 left a lot of studs sidelined. Week 6 leaves a lot of studs sidelined. And to make matters even more complicated for fantasy managers, Aiden, we have 6 teams on a bye this week. Why? And no, you were telling me this. We have no
Roger
buys
Goodell.
the next
What
week.
Are we doing?
We have no buys in week 8.
There's 0 in week 8. But we decided we are going to put the Panthers, Bengals, Cowboys, Texans, Jets, and Titans all on bye. Couldn't split them up. 3 and 3 stagger. Nope. And all the games are going to be at like 10 a.m. in the morning too. I haven't looked yet. There's going to be like 2 1 p.m. games to watch. I just know it. Like they're going to give us a stupid schedule also because that's just always how these things go. So whatever. It is what it is. But the show goes on, which means if there's injuries or buys, you're probably looking to us right now because you need some guys.
Yeah.
You've got some roster spots that you need fills in, and that's exactly what we're here for today.
Yeah, you guys are looking for streamers. You're looking for injury replacements, and we're going to try and parse through all of the names out there on what is a kind of a sleeper wire. I think there's some great moves that could be made if you allocate your FAAB budgets or your priorities right. First things first, before we get into our waiver wire targets, Aiden, this Sunday felt like a massacre with injuries. Debo left in the first quarter with a shoulder injury. CMC left in the middle of that game with a rib and oblique injury. Very mum about that. X-rays were negative on Debo. We have no idea what's going on with CMC at this point. David Montgomery injured his rib cartilage, similar to what Justin Herbert had last year. He's set to miss some time nursing that injury back. Justin Fields dislocated his thumb. No timetable to return until he basically can grip a football. Trevor Lawrence plays on Thursday, injured his MCL potentially. He's not going to play this week. Kyron Williams, ankle injury. He's already dealt with a foot and high ankle sprain so far in his young career. He has already been ruled out for week 7. Sean McVay said that he should be fine long term, but who knows? That's what they were saying about
it was vague. A lot of these reports were very vague, which is unfortunate because it's like I don't know how long I'm preparing to be without some of these guys, which is okay. There's guys out there though. Someone's got to step up. It's fantasy football. We've all started no-namers in championships. That's just how it goes.
Jimmy G, he hurt his back. So I don't know. We're not starting Jimmy G really. He's not in the rotation here.
We might be getting Tyson Bagent versus Brian Hoyer this Sunday. So buckle in. It's going to be special.
This is the stuff that dreams are made of.
This is what I dream about. Yep, this is what it's all about. This is why we do it.
Ramondre Stevenson, he left this game with a head injury. He came back. This has happened before where guys leave with head injuries and then get added to the protocol. So I'm purely speculating here on Ramondre Stevenson. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Before we move on to our waiver wire targets, Aiden, so players that you can drop. We have to drop some guys. It's just the inevitability of this. I have 3. Did you bring any people to the table this week?
No, I just have Dotson off the top of my head. It's officially time to cut ties with Jahan Dotson. It's not happening. He's not worth the roster spot anymore.
He's the wide receiver 67 on the season. He has only broken the double-digit point barrier once this year. I mean, the underlying statistics are meh. Like, it indicates that he probably should be better than wide receiver 67. But when you compare that with what Curtis Samuel has been up to, which is 18 points, and 14 points, it's pretty clear that he's the preferred option over Jahan Dotson right now.
The snaps, too.
Yeah, the snaps are not great for Dotson. Another player that I think is worth dropping here is Samaje Perine. You highlighted this on the recap episode last night. He's essentially like in a 4-way committee now with like a fullback in the mix. 17% of snaps in a negative game script for Samaje Perine. I feel like you can go ahead and drop him. You agree?
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate too. I was so high on him, but like what his role has turned into, and like we pretty much felt like the offense needed to take like a small step forward, and it hasn't even done that. And now, he's rotating with a fullback for carries. So I don't think you can trust anyone in that backfield at this point. Javonte is probably the only one that should even be rostered. Maybe McLaughlin too, but it's probably time to cut ties with Perine.
The last guy that I have here that I think is worth dropping is rookie tight end Dalton Kincaid. He is dealing with a concussion right now. He did not play in week 6, but the guy he's topped out at 9.3 fantasy points this season. I just don't think he's really worth holding on to the roster right now, holding on rosters. Do you agree? Do you think it's time to cut bait with Kincaid?
Yeah, I agree. And like the gap between like, tight end like 10 and stuff right now, like who cares? Just go take a flyer on someone else. Like, sure, he's got the upside, but the position as a whole really hasn't delivered anything at this point. So go hunt some touchdown upside. The guy barely has a role in the offense, fighting a concussion. It doesn't make a ton of sense unless you've got a really deep bench or like multiple IR spots. So I'm with you here. It's pretty disappointing given what we thought his role might be.
Pretty big bummer. Outside of that, I think you can hold on to Tutu. He's still on the field a bunch, 88% of the snaps last week, and I would still hold on to Amari Demercado, but pretty sketch on Demercado. But I'd probably still hold on to him. Would you drop him, or would you wait a couple more weeks? He did get 43% of the snaps.
I don't know. I'm probably waiting, but like I wouldn't blame you for dropping him too again. Like, I don't know. His usage wasn't great, but I guess the snaps are encouraging. I don't really know what to think there. I also don't know exactly how long James Conner is going to be on. So
he's on IR. So
I'd probably hold on to him.
Okay. Well,
at least 3 more weeks. Yeah. So, yep.
All right. That's who we're dropping. I don't think you should be dropping too many people considering just how big of a nightmare bye weeks are, how big of a nightmare injuries have been. But before we dive into the waiver wire today, we want to thank you so much for supporting the Regression to the Mean podcast. We appreciate you for listening and being a part of the Mean team. If you haven't had a chance, we'd love it if you could go ahead, hit the subscribe button, like this video, drop any of your questions in the comments below. We are marching towards our goal of 1,000 subscribers before the season ends, and we appreciate you tagging along. Anything to say to the loyal Mean team listeners before we dive in, Aiden?
Keep interacting. We love the questions. We love the feedback. Roast us. We love talking to you guys. We do it, as much as, we like to do it, to compete in our own leagues. We like to help you guys out. So, the more interactions, the better. So, super glad to have everyone along for this journey.
If you are new to our waiver show, first off, welcome. Welcome aboard. We appreciate it. Second, we are looking for guys that are under 35% ownership on Sleeper. If you are a veteran of these episodes, you also know that sometimes we cheat. We find guys over that 35% because they might be too important to not go after. Aiden, you want to start with running backs this week? It kind of feels like that's the most important place to start.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to cheat and just get it out of the way. I've only got one. He's right there, number 3. Kareem Hunt. It's officially time to roster Kareem Hunt. These snaps are quickly rising. He saw 37% of the snaps compared to Jerome Ford's. Outscored him. Was the only one that got found pay dirt out of the 2. Outscored him 16-11. We've seen what Kareem Hunt can do in fantasy. Sure, he is 28 years old, but Jerome Ford is no Nick Chubb. So I'd say Kareem Hunt is definitely worth a roster spot at this point.
I wouldn't get too crazy with Hunt in terms of a FAAB bid, Aiden. Maybe 5 to 8%. His role was pretty solid in week 6. He had 37% of the rushes, 35% of the attempts, 24% of the routes, and 9% of the targets. This is more of a committee than Jerome Ford bag holders would ideally want to admit. I think Ford is still the 1A, but because of how good Hunt looked this week against the 49ers, I think he's a pretty comfortable 1B. So 5 to 8% FAAB. Don't get too crazy here.
Yeah. And out of all the guys that I'm going to highlight, this is probably the most long-term in my opinion. We're going to highlight a couple guys that are obviously filling in for injury spot starts, but his pass catching upside and role he's kind of carved out. This is a guy you could probably hold on to for the year and potentially, start if, that snap and kind of target share continues to increase in his way. So I'd say, I was going to say 5%. If you want to go up to 8, if you're really short of running back, I wouldn't blame you at all. Use that FAAB. I'm sure some of you are still sitting on 80, 90% of your FAAB. Go use it. Go use it. Who cares if you overspend a little on Kareem Hunt? Don't go crazy.
Live a little. Come
don't
on.
Do it either.
Live a little.
Live a little. Don't go 70% on DeMercado.
You never go full Diego. You never go full Diego with the DeMercado. Okay, so this is my first one here is a BOGO. Okay, this is a buy one get one. Because I think when you're looking,
I had this one too. Nice,
40,
that's a good BOGO.
When you're looking at the 49ers backfield, if CMC were set to miss time, and again, his status is up in the air. There, as we record, we're recording Monday, 1:50 Pacific Standard Time. Our preferred injury experts that we like at RTM believe he is going to play next week against the Vikings, considering that he tried to play this week. Regardless, though, if you have CMC, you're playing against somebody that has CMC, or you have a stack team, you should be picking up and stashing both Mitchell and or Mason in case CMC misses time or his role is maybe reduced as he heals. Maybe he becomes like a 50-50 snap player to try and get him back to 100% of health. I'd say Mitchell has had much more career success than year two undrafted free agent Jordan Mason. But Mason has been rock solid when given the rock since he came into the league last year. I would expect Mitchell, if he's healthy, which is a gigantic if. Mitchell had 11% of the snaps coming off of that knee injury in week 6. Jordan Mason had 24% of the snaps. I think Mitchell is going to get the first crack at the job. I'd be a little surprised if he wasn't, considering he's the veteran. So I think Mitchell definitely would be the quote unquote starter, but I wouldn't be shocked if CMC misses time, that throughout the course of a game, Jordan Mason just gets more touches and plays more than Elijah Mitchell. As you can see, Mitchell had 2 carries for -3 yards against the Browns, 5 carries for 27 yards for Mason. Mason is rostered in 4% of sleeper leagues. Elijah Mitchell, 34%. I'd probably go 3 to 5% on Mason, probably 10 to 20% on Mitchell. You could squeeze my arm and have them be dead even. I don't know. I feel like Shanny's just rode with Mitchell as the starter before. What are your thoughts on that backfield?
Yeah, I was going to ask you which one you thought, because I probably would lean Mitchell as well. Even Mason looked better yesterday, but like neither one of them had very many opportunities. So I don't think I'm going as high as 20%, probably personally, given like I don't see this as a long-term plug. This is probably 1 to 2 weeks at best, and like he's still the second string potentially if CMC goes down again. So I'm probably capping either one of them at like 10 or 15 most. But that, like, the role of the 49ers running back is fantasy gold. Valuable. So if he is to miss any time and you pick the right running back here, like that's startable. Like you want them to line up this week, absolutely. So yeah, it's if you can figure out which one is the right one and CMC misses time, good for you, because now you'll probably have a pretty solid week for them.
I would just be surprised if CMC misses time, if it's one clear guy. I feel like both are going to get run. That would probably be, and it's like kind of a hot hand. That would make the most sense,
I think.
Yeah, kind of a hot
especially
hand.
With Mitchell being kind of injury prone. Like, there's no reason to try to just like run this dude into the ground. It makes sense if they kind of split series or something along those lines.
All right, is this your
Keeping
time?
Up the trend of.
Is this your soliloquy? Is this time? You've been texting us about him all day. Is it?
Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah. I was going to do another one first, but let me do it. It is all aboard. The Zach Evans train is leaving the station, whether you like it or not. It is officially time. With Kieran Williams missing time, it is not the Ronnie Rivers show. It is the Zach Evans show, whether you like it or not. They were both active last week, barely touched the ball, but he already outsnapped Ronnie Rivers 6-4. So like very little.
Well, Rivers got hurt
on here, but
Rivers got hurt. He's out. He's going to miss like the next 3 to 4
Rivers
weeks.
is out as well.
Yeah,
I didn't know Rivers also got hurt.
Rivers and Williams are out.
Oh,
literally, it's going to be Zach Evans and Royce Freeman.
It's just him.
It's Zach Evans and Royce
my God,
Freeman.
Okay.
Those are the running backs.
I failed you guys. I didn't see the Ronnie Rivers one, actually. I saw Kieran's out. Okay, so yeah, no, it is all aboard then. Wow. Yeah, no, this is fantastic. The rookie out of Ole Miss he's going to get like the bulk of carries this week. He has the potential to go crazy. Oh man, this is even more exciting than I thought.
We were watching him in real time lose his mind. We are watching Aiden go crazy in real time here.
Zach Evans might be running back priority number 1 then in that case. Kieran Williams just came out of nowhere, and they were giving him like 90+% of the touches. Like, who's to say Zach Evans isn't going to do that too? Like, this could be big time for the boy.
Full
I'm
disclaimer, Aiden has a lot of Zach Evans best ball bags. So he has got best ball goggles on Zach Evans right now. So this is his time to
I
shine.
never said that. You said it. You
I'm
never said it. Yeah,
full
no,
disclaimer to the listeners. Aiden might not be an impartial Zach Evans guy. Okay, so I'm with you. Zach Evans should see a ton of touches. But again, Zach Evans is somebody the dynasty football community loves as a running back. He had really good tape. However, he was an undrafted free agent. Or did he get picked out? Did he get picked? I don't know. I think he was undrafted.
Got picked.
Oh, was he a 6th round pick, a 7th round pick?
Let me see. I'm pretty sure he got drafted.
Whatever it may be. Late round pick with a good talent, lack of college production. He transferred to Ole Miss after he couldn't beat out Kendrick Miller. Round 6. Royce Freeman's going to factor in here. So, and they're playing Pittsburgh.
Yep.
I would.
Not.
I think he's better than Demercado, but I would just be cautious.
For sure.
I'd be cautious here. I would only do like 3 to 5% of FAAB. I know you're going to be more aggressive.
I might go up to 10.
Okay, Aiden's going to go up to 10. Milk was never a bad choice on the waiver wire.
No, not with Zach.
Another guy that I think is worth picking up here, rostered in 2% of sleeper leagues, is Craig Reynolds. So the last time we recommended Craig Reynolds, it was here after Seattle where David Montgomery got hurt. He played 29% of the snaps, and he scored 1 fantasy point. So naturally, things are going to go great for Craig Reynolds.
That can't be a real college.
Where'd he go? Kutztown. That's insane. Why don't we look up Kutztown State here? So here's my thing with Craig Reynolds.
It's in Pennsylvania.
Kutztown, baby. Once David Montgomery went down, it was the Craig Reynolds show. He finished the week with 62% of the snaps, 45% of the attempts, 54% of the routes, 5% of the targets. Like I said, the last time this happened, we kind of got rug pulled. It was the Jahmyr Gibbs show. Jahmyr Gibbs is trending towards playing this week, which is very exciting. I think Reynolds is definitely someone you should just add to your roster, stash. I'd say 1 to 2% of FAAB. Maybe he gets more run. I think that the Lions are going to use this David Montgomery injury as an opportunity to really integrate Gibbs into the offense. That's my call. That's exactly what they did against the Falcons in week 3. It's a tough matchup against Baltimore, though. So I don't know here.
I don't know. I don't trust them. I think Craig Reynolds might outtouch Jahmyr Gibbs this week. I don't trust them. I don't trust that. They just it feels like they refuse to use him. I'm still not going crazy either on this in terms of FAAB, but I'd be shocked if Jahmyr Gibbs outtouches Craig Reynolds next week.
The last time
or at least outsnaps him.
Last time this happened, 60% of the snaps, 17 carries. So they basically just turned Gibbs into Montgomery, which was strange.
Yep.
So I don't know. I would lean on Gibbs, but have Reynolds on your...
Don't go crazy, but
have Reynolds on your bench.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I have one more running back. Do you have another one?
That was the last running back I had. Oh, no, take it home.
I have one here. He is a really speculative stash. He just got activated off of the IR. He was an undrafted free agent out of East Carolina. He plays for the Baltimore Ravens. It's Keaton Mitchell. So he's small and shifty. He's kind of built like Jaleel McLaughlin. Probably not as good as Jameer McLaughlin, but PFF had him rated as a top 3 running back last year with Dwayne McBride and Bijan Robinson. So that's just kind of an idea of how well he played out of East Carolina. It's more likely that he does nothing than something, but it's definitely worth the bench stash considering that Justice Hill and Gus Edwards haven't exactly lit it up. His RAS score, like what he is in terms of his measurables and athleticism, is comparable to Phillip Lindsay, though. So that's who he comps to in terms of size and speed. Phillip Lindsay was a pretty productive player in the NFL. I'm not predicting Mitchell rushes for 1,000 yards or anything, but considering he's only rostered in 16% of leagues, I definitely think it's worth the speculative dart throw.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, you want to move over to wide receivers?
Let's do it. I've got 3 here. I think we've mentioned all 3 of them at some point, but I'll start with the one that I probably feel the strongest about, which would be Wan'Dale Robinson. I think outside of Saquon Barkley, this is definitely the best weapon in that offense. He can kind of get you from all three levels too. Like he plays in the slot primarily, but this guy, he's super fun to watch. He caught all 8 of his targets, as we can see here, for 62 yards, no touchdowns. The Bills are a tough defense, though. They honestly hung in there a lot stronger than I would have expected from that offense in general, especially with a backup QB. But he led the team in targets. He looks pretty healthy. Obviously, he was coming off that knee injury, so didn't start those first few games. But this should be the wide receiver that you want to own in that offense. Even when Daniel Jones returns, this guy, it's very clear that they want to get him the ball in space, whether it be quick hitters, jet sweeps, short routes. Like they want to get him the ball. Only owned in 28% of leagues, you can see here. So this is a guy that, yeah, I would definitely be trying to target, especially if you've kind of whiffed on some wide receivers in the last couple of weeks. This is the wide receiver I want on that team.
Yeah, Wan'Dale, think of him kind of as a poor man's Deontay Johnson. I think that's kind of where he's at right now, or not poor man's, maybe Kirkland brand Deontay Johnson. He's coming back off this ACL injury. He missed the first 2 weeks of the season. Every game he's played in, including the game where he only saw 22% of the snaps, he's seen 5 targets or more. He's seen 6+ targets in his last 3 games here. I think the ideal offense for the Giants is Darren Waller at tight end, Wan'Dale Robinson in the slot, and Darius Slayton and Jalin Hyatt on the outside. The Giants project to get back 3 starters on the offensive line pretty soon here. Saquon's back. I think the Giants slowly are going to have a more competent offense than we've been seeing, and I think Wan'Dale is somebody who's going to continue to get a ton of targets. So I had him as my number 1 wide receiver. I have him at a 5 to 8 to 10%. Like he's just the ideal guy to pick up with injuries and with bye weeks, because sure, his ADOT's super short, but his bankable volume you're like, I think Wan'Dale's just going to get me 10 points. He's not going to put up a goose.
Yeah. Especially in PPR or half PPR formats.
PPR.
In a standard league, this isn't like a huge target for me. But PPR, absolutely. Yeah, to your point, it's like the floor feels very safe. It's not, you're not at risk of a goose egg, even if he gives you that 5 or 10. At least it's something in your lineup. But he's got the potential, because of that volume, to absolutely pop. Breaks one, and then before you know it, you're looking at a 25 burger. So yeah, I'm probably about 5 to 10% myself.
I think I've had him featured on this show 3 times now. So I'm a big Wan'Dale guy. I think you should go pick him up, and he's only going to get better as he heals from the ACL. So kind of a wide receiver for 4, sure, but very good buy-in of bye week fill-in. And then the other guy I had was just Rashid Shaheed. Is that the other guy you had too?
I have him too. I have him
Slim pickings for rookies this week. Maybe if anyone dropped Jaden Reed, he's like a fun pickup coming out of the bye with the Packers. But Shaheed continues to operate as just a highly efficient and effective offensive weapon for the Saints. His underlying numbers, Aiden, it's a bit fluky. Like
they're not great.
Yeah, he's ton of snaps. So highest snap percentage he's seen all season was 76% of the snaps. 6 targets, which is the second most he's seen all season, but only 2 catches. Super high ADOT guy. I just think that it'd be nice if the Saints started using Shaheed more as like an offensive weapon than Taysom Hill, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that. I think they'd just be better if they played this guy more, but he's just really good in the limited run.
My thing with Shaheed too is as Derek Carr gets healthier, like one of Derek Carr's big strengths is the deep ball.
Yeah.
And we saw it last week. I think he caught a roughly 40-yard touchdown. Like he's obviously their vertical threat. So it's a bit of a boomer bust candidate given his role in the offense right now. But he's going to be the guy that's stretching defenses on a week-to-week basis in that offense. Olave is going to be doing it too, but this is their true burner on the outside. So he's worth a dart throw. If you've got the stones to start him, props to you, because it'd be pretty risky. But I think at this point he should be getting more roster than 27%.
Yeah. He's really interesting because him and Wan'Dale are almost polar opposites, in usage, where Rashid Shaheed, you're going to put him in your lineup because he might just be able to score you 20 points purely because he just hits a lot of deep balls. And if he hits on that deep shot touchdown, which he's had twice now, he scores over 18 fantasy points. Whereas Wan'Dale is probably ceiling is probably 14 points, right? But you're probably more bankable volume. You probably feel better. I know that Wan'Dale is going to give me 10 points. But if you're back against the wall against someone who's projected to outbeat you by like 20 points with bye weeks and injuries. Shaheed's interesting because he might be able to pop. It's kind of like a spike week play. I wouldn't get too crazy with Shaheed. I'd say maybe what 3 to 5%. I have Wan'Dale maybe at what 5 to 8%.
Yeah, don't go more than 5.
Yeah, in terms of the FAAB
I'd
bids that you're going
prioritize
to allocate.
Wan'Dale over Shaheed, probably by like double the budget, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean another guy too is Jalin Hyatt. I think adding in Jalin Hyatt here, he should have had like 10 fantasy points. He had a 40-yard catch called back. He's saw 73% of the snaps last week. His role is only going to continue to grow. I like Jalin Hyatt. He hasn't popped yet, but this is the type of guy that this offense desperately needs some juice. And I think Hyatt is someone that could easily provide it for him when he's on the field more. And this offensive line can actually protect to allow the quarterback to take the ball downfield. Rostered in 16% of leagues. I mean, again, like 3 to 5%. You don't have to get too crazy here, but you could try and get in front of the Jalin Hyatt big breakout week because it's probably going to happen. He just has such valuable targets down the field.
Yeah, his skill set it's coming. Like you can see by the snaps on a week-to-week basis. Like his role is only growing as the offensive linemen come back. Like you said, Daniel Jones is gonna settle in at some point. You would think he's too talented to continue to underperform this much. And yeah, Jalin Hyatt, it should be a guy that is a beneficiary once that happens.
Any other receivers you want to go to quarterback?
Let's just keep going.
All right.
I had one more, but it's not all that exciting.
Who is it?
I was just gonna say Kendrick Bourne again, but like I just don't know what to think of it. Like that offense is so hot and cold. Like sure, he caught 10 of 11 targets, but like it was his first like relevant outing since week 1. Like his stat line is just really confusing if you look at it. I think it may have just been like game script. It's look at that. It's
why is he,
so many stinkers in between. Like if
in what world is he not on the field for? Why is he on the field on a bat? He should be on the field for more than 50% of the snaps in weeks 2, 3, and 4. That's weird. He's good enough to where
that offense just stinks, man. That offense just stinks.
But I have a rule. Anytime a guy can get 11 targets, 9 targets, and 11 targets in 3 different weeks, they're definitely worth a flex consideration. So I wouldn't get too crazy with this. What
the volume
1 to 3%?
The volume's up. Yeah, the volume's appealing. Yeah, you might be able to get him for free.
Free bid. I like that.
Let's take a look at some QBs.
You know who I'm going to suggest. Sam Howell has to be on fantasy rosters at this point. I know this is cheating, and this is the 3rd time I'm making this Sam Howell recommendation, but please go pick him up. This dude has had 1 bad game against a incredible Bills defense. This is in week 3 when the Bills still had Matt Milano, Trey White, all their guys, and he's still the QB 11. He has been a top 14 play in 5 out of 6 weeks, and he has been a top 6 play as of Monday in back-to-back weeks. He has matchups coming against the Giants, Eagles, Pats, and Seahawks. This guy's a borderline weekly top 12 play at this point.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. It was like, top 15 play, 5 out of 6, QB 5 and 6 the last 2 weeks. Like, this guy's got it. Like, the Commanders are so confusing to watch. But I think Sam Howell, the dude's legit. He's got all the tools. He's got a bit of rushing upside too, which I don't really think he's done this year. I think there's more to give in terms of that dual threat ability. But just as a pure passer, dude, he looks super comfortable at the NFL level. So yeah, he should be in your like starting consideration. The fact that he's not even on half of rosters is kind of silly. Like I've started him multiple times this year, and it's paid off. So. Get Sam Howell so we can stop talking about him. He's too good to be on waiver wire consideration.
My next quarterback here is pretty gross. It's pretty gross.
No.
My next quarterback here, and this is if you're in a pinch, he's rostered in 15% of leagues. He might be benched over the next couple weeks, but that is Desmond Ridder, okay? This season, Desmond Ridder has 3 starts as a top 10 QB. And this is pending Monday night, so Justin Herbert and Dak Prescott haven't gone yet. But Ridder has 3 starts as a top 10 QB. He also has 3 starts outside of the top 26. So he's been super volatile to start this season. However, he now has 5 starts in a row where he's thrown over 30 pass attempts, and he has thrown for 300 yards in back-to-back weeks. He's a bit of a mess, but if he continues to throw at this volume with these playmakers, he has a little rushing upside. You know, I think Desmond Ridder in a pinch is a little interesting, especially week 8 against Tennessee, week 9 against Minnesota, week 10 against Arizona. He's kind of got a interesting schedule here. This is probably for 2 QB leagues. I wouldn't get too crazy with Howell. If you need a quarterback, I'm comfortable going like 10 to 15%. You might be able to ride him rest of season. Desmond Ridder, probably get him for free, 1 to 2%. But I recommended him last week. He was decent. I'm going to keep recommending him this week. Any other QBs here, Aiden?
I don't know. It's pretty gross right now. The only one I mentioned is Baker. Especially with like so many buys and a couple injuries. Like I'm turning to Baker before I pick up like the backups. You know what I mean? Like obviously we could say like Tyson Bagent, Brian Hoyer, AOC. I'd way rather start a guy like Baker before I go with any of those. Like Baker's not going to give you like top 5 QB upside, but like you'll probably get 10, 15. He's playing, what is it? I think Atlanta this week, right? Yeah, he's playing Atlanta this week. Like I'd say Baker gets you 15, which is fine, especially, you know, if your QB's on bye or you just lost your QB to a dislocated thumb, whatever the reason may be. There's a lot worse options than Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I think I might go with Desmond Ridder at this point than Baker.
I can't do Ridder out of principle. Like I'm so upset with Arthur Smith and like what I continue to see. It's just like I just won't do it. I also think I've been saying he'll be benched by the end of the month. So
yeah, it's nervous when the quarterback is
to fruition.
When the quarterback is doing things that make the head coach have a tantrum on the sidelines. You should be very nervous about that guy continuing to play.
His last interception was so bad. I could not believe it.
It was a rookie mistake. He looks like a rookie out there. He just looks super young. I guess Derek Carr is interesting. I'm good. I'm not going to play.
He kind of is.
Yeah. He's got a tough matchups coming up, so that's why I laid off of it.
I'm good off that.
Tight ends. You want to go tight ends here?
Yeah, I'm good off Derek Carr.
I think tight ends are super interesting. I think probably
I actually didn't put any down.
Really? Okay, then I'll go through quickly here. I think this Michael Mayer might be. Michael Mayer.
Who cares? Oh God!
Put down who cares?
It's a mess. The position, like any recommendation, like
dude. Yes. Okay. So I'll go.
I'm just looking at these like guys on the waiver wire. Like this is so gross. Yeah.
Okay.
Take us home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Michael Mayer is rostered in 12% of leagues. He's arrived. Okay. He looked great this week against the Patriots. He ran 67% of the routes. He had 19% target share. He had 27% target rate. He had 12.5 fantasy points. He might be one of my favorite sleeper pickups of the waiver wire this week. It's been the rookie tight end explosion with Sam Laporta and Luke Musgrave. Mayer looked awesome. He looked really good this week against the Patriots.
I didn't catch any of that.
Yeah, he had a nice week.
This is new to me. Tack this on top of the Ronnie Rivers. I've gotten multiple scoops.
Whoopsie doopsies. I think you got to pick him up.
Yeah, this is cool.
If you're hurting for tight end, don't get too crazy. Maybe like 5 to 8%. You don't want to outbid yourself here, but I really do like Michael Mayer as an option rest of season. It seems like instead of Devontae Adams getting 40% of the targets like he did last year with Derek Carr, it's becoming a very open target tree to Jacoby Myers, Michael Mayer, and Devontae Adams. So it's very strange to not see Devontae Adams be such an alpha, but now that there are actually people competing against him, I think he definitely, the shadow coverage he gets opens up the offense for other people. So I like Michael Mayer this week, and if Jimmy G plays, Jimmy G loves tight ends. So I'd go there. And then this one is one that I think will get me arrested in 15 different countries at this point. But you got to go pick up Jonnu Smith at this point. No. You got to go pick him up. He's currently the tight end 9.
I looked at him and I didn't put it down.
He's currently the tight end 9 here. In comparison, Kyle Pitts is the tight end 12, which is hilarious. This offense has essentially become Jonnu Smith, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London, just how we drew it up. Currently the tight end 9. He's cleared 8+ fantasy points in 5 games in a row. He's cleared double-digit fantasy points 3 games in a row. He has seen 5+ targets 5 weeks in a row. Considering how terrible this position is, he's still only 28 years old. He's had some good success with Arthur Smith's offense. like I said, highlighting what Desmond Ridder's been up to, throwing the ball 30+ times, 5 weeks in a row. Even if him and Kyle Pitts, and he's outscoring Pitts right now. Pitts has back-to-back double-digit weeks. We're so proud of you, Kyle. It's kind of a nice little tight end tandem. So that's where I'm at.
It really is. It's kind of like a meme, but like they're actually doing well. I actually will add one.
Okay.
I'd like to add one. And it is a cheating one too.
Okay.
I'm also going to cheat on it. It's Pat Freiermuth is likely returning from his hamstring injury. I would just go take a look. He's right around 50% owned. People may have dropped him. It's just kind of something to go just do a little research. He's he's likely returning. And Pat Freiermuth last year was pretty serviceable. Obviously, we want him at 100% from that hamstring, but tight end is such a weird position to where people probably just dropped him if they weren't patient. So I would just go kind of do a little investigating, see if he's out there, because he's better than a lot of these other options out there.
I like that. Freiermuth, I'm curious to see this offense out of a bye. And Deontay Johnson's coming back. I'm relatively excited. Before we get out of here, we do have some defensive streamers that I like.
Yep. Yeah. I got two.
I think we got to start with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yep, that was one of them. Yep, obviously.
They are playing. They're playing the Badgent and the Bears, and
it might be Peterman. I don't know.
Okay, it might be Peterman. They've scored over double-digit points. They scored double-digit points against Green Bay, double-digit points against New England. Now they're playing Chicago. Chicago's offensive line is supposed to be healthier, I guess. I don't know, but this seems like a pretty great matchup for the Las Vegas Raiders, who have a pretty good pass rush and Max Crosby wreaking havoc.
They've looked pretty strong the last couple weeks. Like they're rushing the passer pretty aggressively. You got them both. Those are the two I had. So nice, you already nailed them.
Yeah, I'd say the Cleveland Browns against the Colts. Gardner Minshew was like a walking turnover against the Jaguars last week.
That was crazy.
I just watched the Cleveland Browns, wreak havoc on the 49ers. So I think that they're going to do pretty good against Gardner Minshew and the Colts this week. They're available in 21% of sleeper leagues. The Las Vegas Raiders defense is available in 32%. The Browns got dropped coming off the bye facing the Niners offense. I think they're an absolute smash. You could probably even start them against good offenses at this point. They're that good. So I would keep a hold on them. But if you have them against a bad offense, like they get the Cardinals, the Colts, and the Steelers in 3.
Even the Seahawks, man. Even the Seahawks.
Yeah, the Seahawks offensive line, but it's at Seattle, so you got to feel a little bit better about that. And the last one I have here is the Seahawks defense. They're rostered in 19% of leagues.
Speaking of them.
They're playing Arizona in week 7. They're the number 7 fantasy defense. They scored 31 against the Giants, but they held their own at Cincinnati, 8 points, 3 sacks, gave up 17 points. They might be better than we might be giving them a little credit for after kind of getting sliced and diced for 30, 31, and 27 for the first 2 weeks of the year. So we'll see if this is an aberration, but they're not really going to be tested in week 7 against the Cardinals. But that's it.
Those are all good shouts.
That's it for who I think we should be picking up. This man Aiden just didn't do tight ends.
Waivers.
He just didn't do a tight end. That was hilarious.
The position makes me just so mad. Like I gave Pat. I gave Pat, but it was my research skipped a chapter. Yeah, it was like the book was just it was just not included in the book.
Another tight end who's pretty good, but he's going to a bye is Dalton Schultz. So you could have maybe had Dalton Schultz. Dalton Duck.
Not Donald.
Dalton Duck. No comment yet from Keegan Thompson, who conveniently lost his he wanted it to be known, by the way. He's made it very clear.
Very convenient.
He's made it very clear that he only has 2 bad recommendations outside of the Dalton Schultz issue. Only 2 bad recommendations. He wants he had very little milk to drink was his comment.
We're clearing his name and emptying his cup. Not much milk for Keegan.
He said there was not much milk to drink. So Aiden, anything you got to say to the listener before we jump?
I do not. Good luck in this this bye week and injury week. You're going to be starting some weird people, and it's going to be a little uncomfortable. But that's
a bummer.
That's why we do it. So just kind of buckle up and kind of eat something strong so your stomach's not
maybe
churning,
not even don't even watch football this week. Just maybe take a time to hug some loved ones this upcoming week.
Yeah, maybe family day.
Maybe family day. All right, Aiden.
Well,
Appreciate you always for hopping on. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And until next time.